Hello everyone, thank you for coming up today. My old subscribers, thank you. And to those that are viewing for the first time or they have not subscribed, please click on the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified each time we upload a new video. And to my new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. Please do not forget to hit on the like button. It's another sad one that has happened again in another family. And what has happened is something that would have been avoided if only some women would listen. But yet this woman you're seeing, you can see that her both hands are tied up with bandages. Those arms you can see now don't have hands anymore. To know how this happened, it's all started with her own husband, and she is 22 years old. Her name is Janet. She is currently narrating what transpired with herself and her husband while she is currently in the hospital. The incident has led Janet to vow that she would never remarry again, and she met her husband, who is known as Bernard, in 2018, and they dated for a couple of months before they decided to move in and start living together. In all of this, before she started a relationship with Bernard, she was actually pregnant while she was in school, and she was 17 years old as of that time. And because of stigma, you're in secondary school and you're pregnant, definitely both her peer group, friends and families around, people would always say certain things, and that can be very traumatizing. And that was what led her to drop out of school. And when she dropped out of school, she was actually 7 months old pregnant. As of that time, that was when Bernard, her husband, now decided that okay, he would want to carry on with her, that he's ready to even take responsibility of the child, despite the fact that the child doesn't belong to him. So they both came together and agreed that they would both act as parents to the child. Meanwhile, that Bernard man who married her has 2 kids from his previous marriage, because he was married before. After she had given birth to the first child, they were all living together. She got pregnant again and gave birth to the second child. And as soon as she gave birth to the second child, that was where problems started, because this same Bernard man who took her in when she was pregnant with another man's child now said he is no longer going to be responsible for that first child that she gave birth to, which doesn't belong to him, that he would only be responsible for the child she has given birth to right now, that she knows that he is aware that this child belongs to him. And when things got so bad between her and her husband, since he refused to take care of the first child and she is not working, she now had to call the ex-boyfriend, who is the father of her first child, to come and pick up his son. But that did not go down well for Janet. In the course of doing this, that's by calling her ex-boyfriend, it escalated into more problems. Now that same husband who said he can't take care of that first child started accusing Janet of infidelity and saying that she's now trying to have another affair with her ex-boyfriend. That led to the husband now beating her up for no reason, all because he heard her communicating with the guy and asking him to come and take his child. You can see how he now jumped into conclusions. First, in a situation like this, even if you're suspecting her, first you should ask questions and hear from her. If it even means you calling the ex-boyfriend over the phone, if you're still in doubt, you go ahead and give the person a call to hear from him too, so as to be sure of what your wife has told you. Instead, the man decided that he was going to beat this lady. That's how he beat her mercilessly. It ended there. She kept on living with this guy despite the fact that the man, at any little thing, he would beat her up. She kept on living in fear. These were her exact words. I was always living in fear, but my fellow women would encourage me to stay put, insisting that my marriage is full of challenges. Janet said that was how she decided to keep on living with this man, because her friends encouraged her that she should stay back and keep her marriage rather than running away from the marriage. At the same time, Janet wasn't comfortable living there, because as of this time, Janet is now living in fear because of the way her husband has started treating her. And one of the days, she decided that she was going to attend the parents-children meeting. You know, when they have meeting in school, where they will invite parents to come over for the meeting. She now went to her stepchildren's school for that same meeting. When she got there, she attended the meeting quite alright and came back to the house. As soon as she came back to the house again, what did she see? She realized that the television was broken. Her stepkids now said it's her son, the first boy, that is responsible for the television breaking. And when the father came back and the kids said the same thing to him, he now took Janet, his wife, and her son and beat them up mercilessly, even beating the child up. What kind of a man is this? So you can see how some women have led this lady into being a punching bag before her own husband. He beat her up and the son so bad to the point that they both sustained very serious injuries. That same day, in the middle of the night, the husband came back and met her and said if she doesn't replace that television, then he was going to kill her. So the following morning, the husband gave his own kids from the other woman food to eat, but he left the wife Janet and her own children without any food. As she saw that things were getting bad, she had to call on her elder sister to narrate what is actually happening in the house. So the elder sister had to send Janet some money so that she can transport herself back to their own hometown so that she can be with the family. Janet now had to live with her kids back home. When Janet left, her in-law now came to the house and pleaded with her parents that please they should allow Janet to go back to her matrimonial home. But Janet refused and said she wasn't going back there. And so when Janet went back to her parents' house to stay, she started working in the city. She got a job so that she can at least take care of her kids. And the husband now realized where she was working. From the place where he was informed that this is where his wife is currently working. He had to go back there and meet the wife and told her that please she should come back home so that they can keep on living together. But she said she was not going. And the husband had convinced her and told her that he's now a changed person and that he's no longer going to beat her anymore. And after the husband had convinced her, this Janet now carried herself again and went back to the man's house. Meanwhile, her mom kicked against her going back to his house and said, a man who is always beating you like that, you don't need to be around him. But she said that the man has changed and that he would treat her nice this time around. She now had to leave her family house and went back to the husband's house. A few weeks later, her mom now sends some clothes to her. But amongst those clothes, there's a particular t-shirt that didn't belong to Janet that the mom had mistakenly put inside that particular bag she sent. And then when the husband saw the t-shirt, the husband now accused her of accepting gifts from secret lovers and even threatened to kill her. So the following morning, Bernard, her husband, asked his wife to take her sick son to the hospital, and he gave her some money which she used as a fare back home. The husband started sending people to convince her. After she had come back and she saw that the man didn't seem like someone that has changed after accusing her, this lady, from taking her son to the hospital, she now went back to her parents' house. Her husband, Bernard, came with some friends and pleaded with Janet to come back to the house. She said no, that she's not going back this time around, that the husband has not changed and she's afraid for her life and that of her children, that she would rather prefer remaining in her family house and take care of her kids by herself. So the husband went back. The following day, the husband came to that house. She was outside cutting firewood when the husband came there and he wore a mask on his face. But she was able to recognize the person wearing the mask as her husband because of the way he walks. It's someone you stayed for a long time, so you would understand his body language. And he came there coming close to her. So when she realized what was happening, before she could even find herself running away very far, the guy had already caught up with her. So when he caught up with her, she started pleading, please don't harm me. He was trying to break her head with the cutlass he was having in his hands. That was when this lady now took her hands to block her head, and this husband of hers now chopped hands away from this lady. As soon as he carried out this horrible act, Janet was screaming, as soon as when people ran Unfortunately, this her husband escaped, and people ran and rushed and took her to the hospital. Right now, she's now speaking from the hospital. Even her mom is scared because they've not arrested her husband. They've not been able to even get hold of him. The other fear is this man may come back this time around and finally kill Janet, because it seems that is his aim. That is what he's after. So you can see now that her own case is ending up in a very, very big tragedy. The fear of even losing her life and that of her children is even at stake at the moment. Knowing that someone like that is on the loose, you won't live peacefully. You will still be living and looking around to find out if this man is somewhere hiding and coming back to take her life. The mom is pleading with the government to give them police guards, that they don't feel safe anymore, knowing that this man is somewhere either trying to make other plans to take her daughter's life and her grandchildren's life away from them. Isn't this very, very painful? And also they are pleading that they should help them with money so that they can get artificial hands for Janet. Right now, Janet is speaking out from the hospital room, advising women that if you're going through a domestic violent marriage, that you should run away, don't stay there, and that you should never listen to people. And that is what has led a lot of women today to lose their lives. You go and meet your fellow woman to talk to her, she will say, stay back, you have children, so that you can protect your marriage and your children. The women would not think of your life and your children's life. I'm sure if Janet hadn't run away from her husband's house, probably they would have been coming there to take her corpse. Even though right now she's still in fear because of her own life, not knowing what the husband is up to. It's so sad that some women are battling with domestic violence today. Alright, but sometimes now it's happening to the men. Like the video I posted earlier, please, if you've not seen it, to go and watch the video where they even interviewed one of the wives that this happened to, where a woman from the same family killing her own husband. This domestic violence these days is turning out to be a different ball game entirely. Please, if you're in a marriage that is involved in a domestic violent activity, make your report on time and run away. You can't keep up with a man that is beating you. And if it's your wife that is the one exhibiting this domestic violent act, make a report immediately. Both lives are important. The life of the husband and also the life of the man. Please and please, make your reports on time. If you are in a home that your husband is beating you up, don't try to protect your marriage or because you are ashamed of what people will tell you. They are out there living their lives. You are the one in that marriage and you know what you're going through. Report, raise alarm, scream, and let people hear your voice so that you can get the help you need and save your life and that of your children while you are still alive. Dead body can't take care of children. Women that are out there, remember this. If you're dead, you cannot take care of your children. Except you are alive, that is when you can take good care of your children. Be mindful of this, please. Friends, please, if you have anything to say, you could put that down at the comment section. It's so sad that Janet has lost hands. Having a man like this you're married to, you should know that peace would never be your own portion, because this man is bent on making sure that this lady doesn't live to say what is really happening. I hope the government would listen to see how they can protect Janet, her mom and her kids, since this man is still on the loose. Once again, please don't be ashamed to speak up if you're going through any domestic violence in your home. Take your heels and run away as fast as you can. If it means you run away with your kids, please do that, because you're not even sure of who will come to the house and take care of your children. Mothers, wives, do this while you are still alive, and don't wait or assume that your husband will change. The next story that you'll be hearing may not be something that anyone bargained for. Please do this. The earlier the better. Friends, thank you for coming up today. Please don't forget to hit on the like button. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified each time we upload a new video. Thank you. God bless you all.